Hello, Facebook and YouTube. It is Sunshine Valentine here from Solstice Beauty Inc. And I have a guest joining me today, Whitney. You guys will not believe this. I'm always sitting here waiting for 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whichever on the dot to hit before I start my live show. And I was just sitting around here chatting with Whitney. I kill me sometimes. Oh my God. Okay, anyway. So welcome to Solstice Beauty Inc. Today's workshop is called Are You Roller Savvy? Yeah, that's right. Roller Savvy. Okay, the last broadcast, I did a dance, and I've been told not to repeat that ever again, so I won't do the dance for you guys this time, but I just felt like I really had to say, roller savvy. Okay, stop. All right, so let's get started about today's topic. If you have ever needed to have a heatless option for your styling, then rollers have probably been suggested to you. But a lot of times we don't like to use rollers because we don't like that 1980s look. For those Generation Xers out there, you know the 80s look. And we're trying to stay away from the 80s look, but sometimes no matter how hard you try to roll the hair, it still doesn't give you the look of a flat iron. And so a lot of us really do rely on our heat styling products. So if you want to know a few tricks and tips on how to style hair with rollers, then keep watching. Please be sure to go on our page. This is Solstice Imaging Inc. on YouTube. Subscribe. And if you know anyone who could benefit from this, share it. Or even if you don't know anyone who can benefit, share it anyway. And also sign up, hit the bell for notifications so you can sign up to see whenever we do some new tips. I always like to do new tips and tricks because I do have clients in the salon and they ask me questions, and exactly this idea came about because of a client that I had. So recently I did a really cool icy blonde wig, like frosty icy blonde. No yellows in there at all, like silver, straight silver foxy icy blonde hair. And because I'm not the type of stylist to just do this style for my client and not tell her how to use it, I warned her that using heat on her hair to keep her style like she would normally do would damage the color in the hair. Heat over 390 degrees can yellow out any icy colors, and that's not the look we were going for. So I suggested maybe rolling the hair to make sure that she keeps that icy look for her. Now she told me she would go out, and I actually did a wig for her. So it was an icy blonde wig. So she said she was going to go out and get some rollers. She had some at the house that she was going to try to use. If not, she would go out and get some rollers. And she was pretty confident that she'd be able to create a nice bob look with the rollers. But then next time I saw her, she was like, oh no. You know, I went out and got new rollers. I tried it. It didn't work. I don't know what it is, but I am never able to use rollers, and I just can't get it to work. So I said, well, let me show you a few tricks and tips, because I think a lot of us are very familiar with rollers, but not a lot of us use them on a regular basis. And there are a few key things that you need to know to get a style to come out the way that you want it to come out. So if you're interested in knowing some of these tips, very simple ones, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth today. We can do that in subsequent shows if you would like. Please drop me a note in the comment section if this is something that you would like. But yeah, let's get started. please share this show right now. Hit the share button. Alrighty, let me bring up any comments that we have. Okay, so I have already shampooed Whitney. She's getting a little dry. She is my mannequin from cosmetology school. And again, I'm going to give a shout out to Miss Roberts, Academy of Beauty Culture, because everything that I learned about rolling hair effectively, I learned from her, Miss Roberts, Miss Tina. So I'm very grateful to know some of this information, and I'm going to share it with you. Also today, I'm going to share with you one new product for rollers that I saw on Shark Tank some years back, and I tried them. Wasn't sure how this was going to work, but it's actually stayed in my roller library. I actually have a roller library. I have a whole bin. I'm not even going to tell you how large this bin is, but I have a whole bin of rollers, different types of rollers, because even for my natural hair, I really don't like to use heat if I can get around it. I like to keep it as healthy as possible. And even if you have wigs, we tend to, because wigs tend to have a stronger quality of hair when you purchase them. If you purchase a good product, they can even get damaged and start breaking. And then, it's more so not necessarily the hair that's the problem. It's you. It's the person. It's the tools you use. It's the lifestyle that you use that causes the problem and breakage. So I got a few of these. I like to style without heat, as much as I possibly can. And Whitney here is going to help me. So I'm actually going to back up and slide this chair out of here so that hopefully you can see me a little bit. But I'm going to really need to get in here. So there we go. I like to always, or I've been taught to always style wet. So I have this big water sprayer. I'm going to get a towel just so I don't wet up my floor. I had to move that out of the way. I didn't want to start out talking to you guys, just you looking at my chest. Let's see if I can pull the camera up a little bit. Yeah, I'm still not able to, well, you can see me, sort of. Okay. So I do like to use a water sprayer, especially on straighter textures of hair. On curly hair, you always have that reversion, but on straighter textures, it works just fine. So why make life harder? Especially if you have a wig that is a straighter texture hair, you can do water heat styling. Use water and not use heat styling. So one of the first tips I have is to make sure that you're sectioning the hair appropriately. And what I mean by that is you don't want to use sections that are too wide or too long. You should always use sections that are the size of the roller. So rollers come in a couple of different sizes. I'm going to start talking about these. These are Miss Roberts Beauty Academy exclusive, I believe. So you may not be able to get these, but I do have some other rollers that are very similar to this that can kind of give you a similar feel. A lot of us have those magnetic rollers. Even some of us may still have them sitting in the bottom of our drawers from like way back when. But what makes these a little different, and I think it's gonna get washed out due to the can I put something behind it so you can see it? It's gonna get washed out due to the light. You may be able to see a little bit. It has texture in it. So a lot of the magnetic rollers are very smooth, but this has a grip and a texture, and the texture in this roller allows you to be able to put more tension on the hair, more tension in pieces. So one of the things that we like to start out doing is sectioning the hair. I've already wet it. I'm going to wet it a little more, and I'm going to carve out a section that is the size of the roller. So I'm going to do this kind of middle part first. I will tilt her head forward. And I am going to clip away the rest of it. So I hope you can see that. All right, you can see I'm tilting her head forward a little bit. Then I'm going to measure how wide to make that next section. I don't want it to go any wider than the length of the roller. So here, and I part straight down. One mistake that we tend to make often is we put too much hair in the rollers. So we get a pack of rollers. Some of you guys might remember these bouncy hair ones. You get a pack of rollers and you go through the whole pack and you don't feel like you've used all of them. I mean, you don't feel like you've gotten a chance to, well, you've used all of them and you don't have any more left. But your hair still doesn't look right. Those are just starter rollers. So they really intend for you to buy more. If you've been rolling your hair and you can't get your rollers, your curls to come out, it's probably that you've been using them for a size that's longer or wider than the size of the roller. So same thing here. If I sit the roller on top here, I don't want it to be any wider than the width of the roller. And of course, because this is the front of the head, I can sit it on top and show you that it's not that wide. Okay, so that's tip number one. A lot of times we're grabbing big bunches of hair, like we'll grab size like this size and then put all of that in one roller. Well, it's not, the roller's not going to be able to do its job if there's too much hair in it. So that's the first tip, is to make sure that you don't put any more hair in the roller than the size of the roller. It is okay to buy another pack of rollers. It's a really good investment. They stay around for a long time. I know anyone who has a hairstyling drawer that used it for a long time has a roller in the bottom of that drawer. So no worries. So one other thing is you're going to get a nice comb and comb straight up and follow it with your fingers. Let me stand this way. I then like to take my thumb, place it inside of the roller, and then that way I can sandwich the hair on the top with my fingers. If you pull it straight up and you want to smooth the hair as you're rolling down with it. Smooth the hair while you roll down with it. If it's not taut enough, you can always pull up on it. Then you're going to find the hole that's closest to the bottom and stick your roller pin in, closest to the scalp. Trying not to step in front of you guys so you can see. And also her head is tilted a tad bit forward so you can see. So yeah. And that's all you have to do. These, of course, come in several different sizes. So you can also use a smaller size for smaller hair. And my client asked me, how do you know what size roller to get? Well, each roller is going to give you a different look. And you don't know what look you like until you practice using the rollers. So if you have several different sizes, and this is an exercise that you can do with your stylist. Also, if you need help, you can always contact us at the Solstice Beauty Academy. We do offer online classes, and we can customize that for whatever you like. Let me put up the post for the Solstice Beauty Academy. There we go. We can kind of discuss it. And maybe I'll do a show on that. If that's something you guys are interested in, we'll do a show on what kinds of curls do different sizes create. The more and more you get used to it, like I said, you can talk to your stylist and say, this week, let's try this size. This is the 1 inch. Next week, let's try this size. This is the 1.5. Next week, let's try the 2 inch. And then you can just keep doing it till you get a feel for what size, what circumference, what size curls you really like. And then once you know the sizes, then you can learn to mix and match and create all kinds of really cool looks. But until you know the sizes, like, you never know. I tend to like this size. This is a nice size. I like having a lot of voluminous hair, so I like bigger size curls. But you can definitely do this with a smaller size curl. Okay, I'm going to have her hair tilted forward. Tilted upright so that I can show you this one more time. You want to make sure that you have water. I know I talked about it on Facebook, not Facebook, Instagram, but I'm not sure I talked about it here. So I want to make this a little smaller since this roller is a little smaller. And I think I'll pin some of that curve, the hair that's on the curve away, so that I could get a nice square section. So let's pin this away. So we got, I might not have talked about it here, but you want to make sure that the setting lotion you use does not have a color in it. One of my favorite setting lotions is the Nairobi setting lotion. And you can measure it. You can always measure it to make sure. But it has a nice blue color to it. That doesn't show up on dark hair, but on an icy silver, it's going to show up. So be careful. Let me lock this in place too. Be careful that while you are, to lock her head in place. Okay, yeah. Be careful that while you have setting lotion in, you're not using a setting lotion with a color. I believe Design Essentials has a really nice setting lotion. This piece of hair is going to keep annoying me. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to pull it up. I have made sure that the section of hair is no wider than the roller. I put my thumb in it. I'm holding with tension. Trying not to rock you guys. And I'm holding it, and I am smoothing the hair as it's going around. I can always pull up a little higher and roll down more if I want more tension. And as I'm doing this, as You may not be able to see it, but my fingers, it might not look like it, but my fingers, no matter where they're placed, are always smoothing the roller. So I can always start up. And even though I'm doing this, I am smoothing the hair on the roller as I'm going down. So I have a nice and snug look. Let me see if I can show you. Every time I tilt that head forward, that roller wants to move. I gotta tilt it forward so I can show you guys though. Okay, so then I'm gonna find, you can see some of these holes in here, right? You can see some of these little holes in here. I'm gonna find a hole that's closest to the scalp and stick the pin through, and it will hold the roller in place. Did you guys see that? So you're gonna find whatever little hole is closest to that scalp, stick the pin through, and it'll hold the roller in place. Then you need to sit under the dryer. Or actually, there's a dryer head now that one of my clients just asked me about. I think I might have shared it with you on the mannequin challenge when we did the live on the mannequin challenge. So one of my clients asked me to just get one of those for her. If you guys need me to get one for you, shoot me a DM because I'm putting in an order for a few of them. You can put it on here. This one has holes in the head. So as you're styling the wig, the air from the blow dryer will dry the whole wig all the way around. So yeah, or you can just use a regular dryer and you put it in. When you put it in the dryer, when it comes out, it'll be nice and crispy. You can just slide this pin out and lightly twist this roller and then just slide out your curl. It's not dry, but you can see it's already starting to dry a little bit and get that beautiful curl. And these dry really nicely. Very key to keep smoothing the hair because how it is wet is how it's going to be dry. And if you have crumpled up your hair while it was wet, let's say you didn't smooth it out and you didn't keep it flat as you went all the way, and as you were turning it, you weren't smoothing the hair as you were wrapping, because it might look like I'm just grabbing hair and throwing it on the roller, but that's not really what we're doing. We're keeping it smooth and straight. We're holding the ends of it, and we are smoothing as we turn so that you have a nice smooth look. If you don't do that and you just bunch it together, it's gonna dry like that, and then your ends are gonna be pointing up or over, or they'll be bunched together as well. So you wanna be careful that how you set this is how you really want it, okay? That was one of my biggest mistakes. One of my biggest mistakes. So we talked a little bit about the size of the partings, having really nice, clean partings, clipping away any other hair on the side. Let's talk a little bit about direction. Even before I went to beauty school, I used to go to this hairdresser and I would take her my wigs, and because I didn't know how to cut. So I would take her my wigs and she would cut them for me and style them on my head. And I was in her chair one day and we were using the flat iron, and I said, I can never get my curls, my flat iron curls, to look like yours. And she's like, well, what tools are you using? So I told her. She's like, yeah, I use that too. You know, what are you doing? And it all boiled down to, she said, the direction in the way that I was wrapping the hair along the flat iron. So the direction of the hair when you part plays a difference. So I did a vertical part here, and it's a little difficult for you guys to see because I have her head tilted forward so you can see the camera. But this would be a vertical part here. These partings are vertical, straight up and down. But you can also part diagonal. This could be a diagonal forward part. This can be a diagonal back part. Something that I later learned in beauty school. So when she styled my hair, she would always curl on the diagonal. Forward or back. She would always curl on the diagonal. When I styled my hair, it was either vertical or horizontal. So that's gonna make a huge difference in the way your curls lay. If you think about curls, hair that's like bouncy and has movement and swings, it's always gonna kind of swing sort of like in a diagonal pattern unless you set it to just be straight. So that's one thing that you want to do. Set your parting patterns according to the style. Take a look at the style. If you look at the style, you'll be able to see if the person who styled it used vertical or diagonal or horizontal parting line. And then you're going to line that roller up with that. So if I wanted to use a diagonal parting line, this could be a diagonal back. I'm going to have that roller go diagonal. So yeah, that would be tip number 2. Now, tip number 3 can also be in the types of rollers you use. So when I was a little girl, I'm going to come closer and have a seat. When I was a little girl, the first rollers I was introduced to were paper bag rollers. My mom would take us to Jewel's. We would buy some paper bags. Oh, thank you, sweetie pie. Thank you for joining me. Okay, then I have a great story with this. Sweetie pie knows how my mom used to do our hair with these paper bag rollers, right? Too sweet. Do you remember the paper bag rollers? So we would get these large paper bags from Jewel's that our groceries would be in. And then we would tear the paper bags lengthwise. And then we would roll the paper bags up and my mom would press our hair, press an oil, hot comb, roll our hair with the paper bag, and then slide one side through the other side, make a bow, pull it tight, and that would be our roller. Yes. Yes, yes, you do. Yes, you do. I know. And those were the best curls, right? They were the best curls. So the closest thing I could come to the paper bag rollers are the boomerangs. I know a lot of you guys love these. Everybody loves boomerangs because they give like the silkiest, bounciest curls. And you can get them in any size. You can get them small sizes like this. And then I usually like to use the big ones. Actually, this hair was rolled in boomerangs. I usually like to get the big ones because I like those big voluptuous curls. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the boomerangs and how to do that. Here we go. Now you guys know, if you were an 80s baby back in the day, the second, well, probably the first type of roller that you were introduced to. Skylar loves those. Yeah, I know. Those boomerangs, I love them. She says Skylar, her baby likes those. Most people were introduced to these. You know these. Everybody's had these sponge rollers. So when I was a little girl, I used to like to watch The Facts of Life. And one of my favorite characters, of course I love Tootie, but one of my favorite characters was Blair, because she has this long hair. And she would always sit and roll her hair with these sponge rollers. So I told my mom, I want these sponge rollers so I can have hair like Blair. It did not work. Can you guys believe it didn't work? Yeah, I couldn't believe when it didn't work, but it didn't work. All those sponge rollers are a really good idea, and you can get a really cool curl with these, and they're comfy. You can sleep in them. I cannot, these rollers, I can't do it. You got to be a strong woman to be able to sleep in these rollers. I can't do it. I would have to use this. The foam rollers work really good, but the only thing about these foam rollers is I didn't like Joe. You don't like Joe. Who is Joe? Tell me more about that, Tony Valentine. All right. The only thing about the foam rollers is they can really damage your hair, especially if you have natural hair and it's dry. So now I really do like to use these. These are Evolve. They have the satin around them. And they come in all different kinds of sizes, but these are the satin ones. So be sure to protect your hair. Even if you're rolling, you can still cause damage. So protect your hair and get the ones with the satin in them. And again, don't be afraid to buy more than one package, because they really don't mean for you to just buy one. One package is not always enough if you're using it for the size of the roller. And if you want bigger curls too, Sally's even sells this size, and I think 2 sizes bigger in these foam rollers. So you can get really, really huge sizes. So let me do the, a little more, because I got confused now. Let me do a little more with the boomerangs. So with boomerangs, wet my hair again. Again, you still don't want to go bigger than the width of the roller. Now you're gonna probably go not as long around the head as the length of the roller, but you're gonna want to go bigger than not any bigger than the width of the roller. So I'm going to make this parting kind of small. Let's stick this here. I'm going to eyeball it so that the section I have make this straight. I like to twist the hair and then lay it flat on top of the hair. And I can see in either direction if it's wide enough. It's actually a little too wide here. So I will part off a little bit. Yep. Okay. So then you're going to take the roller. I'm going to try to tilt this head so you can see it. I really got to get a camera, those camera glasses. Okay, again, I'm going to start at one end of the roller. I'm going to straighten it out. Use tension to smooth it. Start on one end of the roller. And smooth it around. If I want to make it tighter, I can always pull back on it a little more to smooth it around. And this, you can then bend in place. And it'll stay. Now, some people like the single bend. Some people like double bends, just like my mom used to do with those paper towel rollers and paper bag rollers. You can start it in the middle and roll. Again, you still want to make sure you use tension and you smooth the hair. And you can bend it up and then bend it around, and it'll stay in place. You can also do these, not crokinole, but spiral. Same way. Again, try not to get in the bad habit of having it be too large of a section, even though we're going to spiral. And I can hold it and spiral. And this is a wide one. And tilt it down. Let me use a smaller one so you can see on a smaller one. Since I'm using a smaller one, got to use a smaller section. And at the tip, I'm going to wrap this hair under that tip and wrap up and wrap up and bend this down. And then that's going to dry nice and crease free. Now, another thing that you can do is to make sure that your ends stay nice is to use end papers. A lot of people don't like using end papers because it's a lot of work, but it's really a best practice. Even on boomerangs, even on sponge rollers, I really wouldn't use it on these because of the grip on these. It does allow you to straighten the hair out and make sure everything is smooth. Those smoother magnetic ones I would use end papers on, but even on these you can use end papers. End papers really make sure that you are going to have nice straight ends. The ends of the hair are very important to the look of the style, but with end papers it's going to take a little longer to dry. But if you're leaving her overnight, let me pull Whitney's head up. If you're leaving her overnight, it ends up turning out really nicely. So yes, this is one way that you can do it. I like the boomerangs. I wanted to share with you something new. So, and this is not really brand new. I saw this product on Shark Tank some years ago, and I like to call these my pillow rollers because they are soft as pillows. So these are the Sleep Styler, and I really like the Sleep Styler because it comes in 2 sizes, I believe. They come in a big turquoise, big one, and then they come in a smaller royal blue. I really like the Sleep Styler because they're cushiony. You can go to sleep and not have a problem with them. So I really like that about these. Now the Sleep Styler, it's also very soft, so it really doesn't damage the hair. And you can have really nice, bouncy, beach wavy style. So I'll show you the package again. You are supposed to be able to get these type of waves. The light is really messing with me, but these type of beach waves using the Sleep Styler. And it does work. They have stayed in my roller bin because they actually do work. So I'll give you, let you see how these work because they're a little crazy looking. You do need, they do suggest you use water. You don't have to use a big sprayer like this. You can use one of those mist sprayers, but you do need to break the disulfide bond. So one of the things about hair is it has disulfide bonds, and those kind of hold the style in place. If you want the style to be different, then you need to break those bonds, and water breaks those bonds. Heat can break those bonds. Chemicals can break those bonds. But if you're just using dry hair and you roll it around a roller, it's not going to change the style drastically because there's nothing to break the disulfide bonds. So even if you can just use, if you don't want to use like water, you can use a leave-in conditioner, and you just use that. But it has to have something to break the disulfide bond. So again, I'm holding the roller. I am smoothing it down. I'm rolling this crokinole style. And then there's a little strap here. I'm going to slide that over the top. And then there's a little Velcro tab here that you can put in. And this will hold your roller in place. Your hair will dry on top of this really smooth. You can also do the same thing just like the boomerang with these. Start at the end. And of course her hair is short. This mannequin's hair is short. But you can do it just like the boomerang and use those diagonal curls instead of the horizontal curls. We talked about direction. Spirals are always a diagonal direction. You can do it with the long ones. I'll show you on my hair. So you take a little bit off. Again, I'm going to start near the bottom, wrap it around. I'm going to hold that end in place, wrap this top hair on top of that end so that end stays in place. I'm going to use slight tension, spiral roll it all the way up. And then this little strap, I'm going to try to do this while I am on TV, looking at this the opposite way. This strap wraps around the hair. I twisted it. Wraps around the hair to the bottom where there's a little Velcro here, and then this stays in place. You can put a big scarf on it, and there you have it. Unwrap it, and just wrap your spiral curl down. So yes, I have used these when I want big body curls and I cannot sleep in those. I sleep in these sleep stylers. So those are just a few of the quick tips I have for rolling your hair. I hope you learned something. Next time we'll talk about how to roll your hair depending on how much volume you want in the hair, because elevation plays a part in that, and that was really, really exciting to learn too. But hopefully you guys learned something today. If you did learn something, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up tells me, hey, that was interesting. I learned something. It was worth it. If it was worth it to you, please share this video. Again, as a reminder, if you have those light colored hair styles or light colored wigs, please do not use your flat irons on them and ruin that beautiful color. To keep your color, just try heatless styling. And for those of you who want to give heat styling a break on your natural hair, these are also some really, really, really good tips to have. I'm going to check the comments. I'll add myself back into the screen. Tony Valentine says we need a Facts of Life miracle. That's what the Valentines are going to be doing. So yes, hopefully you learned a little bit. Just to recap what we talked about. Number one, you want to have really nice section the hair off. If necessary, use a sectioning clip so that you don't have uneven amounts of hair in each roller. Number two, use a roller that is the size, use a section that is the size of the roller. No longer than the roller, no wider than the roller. Number three, smooth the hair as you are rolling down and use tension. So you want to make sure that you are always creating tension in your rollers, tension in the hair, not too tight that you pull your brains out, but tension. And as you are smoothing, even with each revolution, use those fingers that God gave you. They are the best tools for hairstyling and for makeup. Use those fingers to smooth that out. And then you could either sit in the dryer or air dry. And then when you take them down, you will have bouncy curls. You can see she's starting to get a bouncy curl right now just for the fact that we've been playing with our hair. And it's smooth. It doesn't look bunched up. But you have to make it that way. Hair does not have a mind of its own. It does not. We make it that way. Sometimes you don't know what you're telling the hair to do. So be careful of that. So if any of this was helpful for you, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like a one-on-one session with Solstice Beauty, you can. And if you'd like to take advantage of some of our beauty classes, please go over to the Solstice Beauty Academy. Let me throw that link up there. And if you have some suggestions about what kinds of things you would want us to cover in the Solstice Beauty Academy, you can do that. And we'll create those topics for you. Hopefully this has been helpful. Anything that we talk about, you can always get at solsticeimaginginc.com, our webpage, and stay tuned for more content there. So it has been wonderful talking to you guys. I've had a blast. See you next week on Solstice Live. I'm Sunshine Valentine, and this has been a Solstice Beauty live broadcast. And I want to remind you to keep shining. Bye-bye.